The day my oldest son told everyone I was losing my mind, I realized something that hurt more than getting old. Sometimes the people you love the most become the very people willing to take everything from you. My name is Robert Hayes. I am 75 years old, and for most of my life, I believed family was the one thing money could never destroy. I was wrong. 3 years ago, I've retired after owning a successful construction company for more than 4 decades. I worked through broken bones, sleepless nights, and economic downturns. I missed birthdays. I missed vacations. I sacrificed everything because I wanted my family to have a better life than I ever had. My wife, Margaret, passed away 6 years ago after a long battle with cancer. Losing her nearly broke me. For months, I walked through an empty house talking to photographs because silence felt too painful. My oldest son, Daniel, seemed supportive at first. He visited often. He brought groceries. He offered to help manage paperwork. Everyone praised him for being such a caring son. What nobody knew was that Daniel was quietly taking control of every part of my life. One afternoon, I overheard him talking to a neighbor outside my home. "Dad isn't doing very well," he said. "His memory keeps getting worse. We're all worried about him." I froze behind the front door. My memory was perfectly fine. A week later, I discovered Daniel had been making similar comments to relatives, friends, and even my church group. At first, I confronted him. "Why are you telling people that?" I asked. He gave me a disappointed look. "Dad, see? You don't even remember half the things you've been forgetting." The confidence in his voice shocked me. For a moment, I almost questioned myself. That's how manipulation works. Little by little, people started treating me differently. Conversations stopped when I entered rooms. Relatives spoke slowly to me. Friends asked if I needed help remembering appointments. I felt like I was watching my reputation disappear in real time. If you're enjoying this story so far, take a moment to subscribe to the channel. Stories like this remind us how important it is to pay attention when something doesn't feel right. Things became much worse 3 months later. Daniel arrived one morning and asked for my car keys. "Why?" I said. "For safety. I drive perfectly fine." "Dad, everyone agrees it's time." Everyone? Nobody had spoken to me. Before I could stop him, he took the keys from the kitchen counter. A few days later, I discovered my online banking access no longer worked. After spending hours on the phone, I learned Daniel had helped initiate changes claiming I needed assistance managing finances. I felt humiliated, angry, powerless. But I stayed quiet because Daniel believed something that would become his biggest mistake. He thought I didn't know what he was doing. The truth was, I knew far more than he realized. Months before any of this started, Margaret and I had prepared for every possible future, including betrayal. And hidden inside a safe deposit box was one secret Daniel had never heard about. A secret that would eventually change everything. For nearly a year, I pretended to be exactly what Daniel wanted everyone to believe. Confused, forgetful, dependent. I watched. I listened. I collected evidence. And every day, Daniel became more confident, more careless, more certain that he had already won. What he didn't understand was that I wasn't planning revenge. I was planning the truth. And the truth was coming faster than he imagined. For the next several months, I played the role Daniel had created for me. Every time he claimed I forgot something, I acted uncertain. Every time he corrected me in front of family members, I stayed quiet. The more I cooperated, the more confident he became. And confidence made him careless. One Sunday afternoon, my younger son Michael visited. Unlike Daniel, Michael lived 2 states away and only came home a few times each year. The moment he walked into my house, he noticed something was wrong. Dad, you okay? He asked. Before I could answer, Daniel stepped in. Dad's having a rough week. Michael looked at me. I could see questions in his eyes. But Daniel never gave him a chance to ask them. He controlled every conversation, every explanation, every detail. When Michael left that evening, Daniel followed him outside. I watched through the living room window. They argued for nearly 10 minutes. Michael looked frustrated. Daniel looked angry. That was the first time I realized Daniel wasn't only trying to control me. He was trying to control what everyone else believed. A few days later, I received an unexpected phone call. It was my attorney, William Carter. William had been my lawyer for almost 20 years. Margaret trusted him completely. "Robert," he said quietly, "I received some paperwork from Daniel." My stomach tightened. "What kind of paperwork?" "He wants to discuss expanding authority over your financial decisions." I sat silently. William immediately sensed something. "Robert, tell me honestly, are you having difficulty managing your affairs?" I answered without hesitation. "No." The silence on the line lasted several seconds. Then William said something that changed everything. "That's exactly what I thought." For the first time in months, I felt like someone actually saw what was happening. William explained that Daniel had contacted him multiple times, expressing concerns about my mental condition. Each conversation painted me as increasingly incapable. But something about Daniel's stories never felt right. The details kept changing, the timelines didn't match, and Daniel always seemed more interested in my assets than my health. That single phone call gave me hope. I wasn't alone anymore. Over the following weeks, William and I spoke regularly, carefully. Privately, Daniel monitored almost everything. So we communicated through methods he wouldn't expect. Sometimes through mailed letters. Sometimes through scheduled appointments Daniel knew nothing about. During those meetings, William encouraged me to document everything: dates, conversations, financial changes, witnesses, anything unusual. I followed his advice exactly. Soon I had pages of notes, then dozens of pages, then hundred. Reports started emerging: money transfers, account changes, Batrorti discussions, private conversations Daniel thought nobody knew about. The more evidence I gathered, the more disturbing the picture became. One evening, I accidentally overheard Daniel speaking on the phone in my kitchen. "I've already handled most of it," he said. I stopped walking. "Once everything is finalized, there won't be much left to challenge." My heart started pounding. Challenge what? I moved closer without making a sound. Then I heard another sentence, a sentence I will never forget. "Dad doesn't understand what's happening anyway." The words hit harder than any punch I've ever taken. Not because they were cruel, because they revealed exactly what he thought of me. I wasn't his father anymore. I was an obstacle, a problem to be managed, a signature to be controlled. That night, I sat alone in Margaret's old reading room. I stared at her photograph for nearly an hour. Then I opened a small wooden box she had left behind. Inside were letters she wrote during her final months. One passage stopped me cold. "If our family ever faces a difficult test after I'm gone, promise me you'll protect the truth, even when it's painful." I read that sentence over and over. Protect the truth. Not my pride, not my reputation, the truth. And that's exactly what I decided to do. What Daniel didn't know was that years earlier, Margaret and I had created a backup plan, a legal plan, a hidden plan, one that only William knew existed. A plan that could expose every lie if it ever became necessary. At the time, we hoped it would never be used. Now it was becoming clear that day was coming. And when it arrived, Daniel would learn something that would leave him speechless. because the father he believed was helpless had been preparing for this moment long before he ever made his first move.